All right, welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive?
Sounds good.
Today we're looking at
Debanking.
debanking. Yeah,
Ugh. And it's a big one.
it is, especially in the crypto and tech world.
Yeah, for sure.
And what's really got me thinking is like, are banks just being, extra careful, or is there something more going on here?
That's a good question.
Like something more, I don't know, orchestrated.
Right.
Could politics even be playing a role?
Well, we're going to try to find out, right?
Exactly.
We've got this letter from the U.S. House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform
Yeah.
to really dig into, plus some other stuff on debanking in crypto.
This letter it's pretty serious stuff.
Yeah, it is. They're sending it to some big names.
Like who?
Well, you've got Hayden Adams from Uniswap Labs,
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Mark Andreessen, Brian Armstrong from Coinbase, big players.
Yeah, they're not messing around.
No, not at all. And, they're bringing up some serious concerns.
I mean, it kind of feels like almost like a follow-up to that whole Operation Choke Point thing.
The Obama era, right?
Yeah. Back then, certain industries basically got cut off from banks.
Yeah.
And there were allegations that it was like, the government pressuring them to do it.
Definitely some echoes of that here.
So what exactly is the committee worried about this time?
Well, they're really focused on this debanking of people and companies, particularly in the crypto and blockchain space.
Okay.
And like you said, they're concerned about political bias, maybe influencing these decisions.
Like maybe even the government leaning on banks.
Yeah, that's what they're trying to figure out.
It's pretty scary if you think about it.
Yeah, definitely concerning.
All right, so let's get into some of these real stories because
Okay, yeah.
our sources, they highlight some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, they do.
Like Hayden Adams,
Founder of Uniswap Labs.
yeah, had his bank accounts completely shut down.
Just like that.
No explanation.
Nothing.
Then there's Brian Armstrong.
Coinbase CEO.
Yeah, and he's publicly claiming that the former SEC chair, Gary Gensler, was trying to, like, I don't know, kill the crypto industry.
He said that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and it gets even crazier.
Wow, there's more.
Yeah, David Marcus, the CEO of Lightspark,
Okay.
debanked even though his company didn't even fit the bank's own definition of a crypto business.
How is that even possible?
I don't know, but it happened.
There's definitely a lot of confusion out there.
For sure.
And frustration.
Absolutely. Like Jesse
Oh.
Powell.
Kraken.
Yeah, he founded Kraken.
Right.
And he's talked about like countless stories of clients and employees losing access to U.S. banking.
Just because of crypto.
Pretty much. Yeah.
This is serious stuff.
It is. And the Blockchain Association, they actually sent a letter to President Trump
Really?
back when he first got back into office,
Wow.
urging him to do something about this whole debanking thing.
Do you think I don't know, is it fair to say that there's almost like this unspoken blanket ban on crypto by some banks? I wouldn't say ban exactly, but
Right.
well, there's definitely a pattern emerging, right?
Right.
A lot of banks seem really quick to just label all crypto businesses as high risk.
Without really looking at them individually.
exactly.
So are they just playing it safe?
Maybe, but our sources say there's also this real lack of understanding from banks
About what?
about the technology itself,
Oh, interesting.
and how to manage the risks properly.
Mhm.
They even specifically mention tools like Merkle Science.
What's that?
It's designed for the blockchain,
Yeah.
and it actually provides more transparency
Oh, wow.
and risk management than what's typically used in traditional finance.
So they're basically missing out on a chance to actually improve their systems.
Yeah.
Instead, we're seeing companies get rejected just because crypto is in their name.
Even if they're not directly handling crypto assets.
So it makes you wonder, are banks really acting on actual risk assessment?
It's a good question, isn't it?
Yeah, are they just using this broad brush to kind of paint the whole industry as, I don't know, bad?
That's what we need to find out.
Let's take a look at what's happening in the UK for a second.
Okay.
They've got this all-party parliamentary group focused on crypto and digital assets.
I've heard of them.
And their findings are pretty interesting.
What did they find?
They've noticed that traditional financial institutions, even with the same licenses as their crypto counterparts, don't face the same challenges.
Same rules, different treatment.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Back in the U.S., this whole debanking thing, it became quite a political issue leading up to the elections.
Yeah, I remember that.
A lot of pro-Trump voters were hoping he'd really crack down on anything that even resembled Operation Choke Point.
We saw a connection there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And that's where the House Committee's investigation becomes really important.
Right, they're not just sitting back and watching.
No, they're actively reaching out to people and businesses who've been debanked.
To hear their stories firsthand.
Yeah, to try and understand what's really going on.
That's a good step, right?
Yeah, it could really help shed some light on the situation.
Hopefully bring some transparency to the whole process.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a step in the right direction.
I
We
agree.
need to know what's happening.
Absolutely. And why? You know what's interesting, though? This isn't just happening in America.
Oh, really?
Yeah, our sources mentioned that Australia and Hong Kong,
Okay.
they launched similar investigations in 2023.
Wow.
They're trying to figure out what's behind all this debanking and what it means for, the financial system as a whole.
It's like a global trend then.
It seems that way.
People are starting to question how the whole system works.
Yeah, and you have to wonder, are we at a turning point?
Hmm.
The House committee here in the U.S.,
Yeah.
they're not just looking at whether debanking is happening.
Right.
They're going deeper, asking about fairness and transparency.
So, like, were people told why it happened?
Exactly. And if there's any way to appeal it.
It's almost like they're looking for I don't know, a hidden system or something.
Yeah, like, is there something else going on that we don't see?
It's a little unsettling.
It's definitely worth investigating, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because if a business is doing something shady, okay, that's one thing.
Okay.
But those concerns should be clear,
Right.
And there should be a way to address them, not just, boom, your account's closed, good luck.
Yeah, that's just not right.
No, it's not.
And what about the people behind these businesses?
Oh, absolutely. Our sources talk about how stressful this whole thing is.
I can imagine.
Like, imagine your business accounts are frozen.
Oh, that's a nightmare.
You can't pay anyone, you can't do anything.
Everything just grinds to a halt.
Exactly. And for tech and crypto companies, that can be devastating.
They move so fast.
Right. So this whole debanking thing, it could really be stifling innovation.
It's like putting the brakes on progress.
In a way, yeah.
Didn't the Blockchain Association bring this up with Trump?
They did. In their letter, they argued that debanking was crippling companies.
How so?
They couldn't even do basic things like paying employees or vendors.
Really?
Even taxes.
Wow, that's crazy.
So you have to ask, is debanking really about managing risk?
Or is it something else entirely?
It's the million-dollar question, right?
It really is.
There's
no easy answer.
I mean, it's complicated, right?
Super complicated.
We've got competing interests, new technology, and nobody really knows what the future holds.
It's a mess.
But let's break it down a bit.
Okay, sounds good.
On one side, you've got those who say banks need to be careful.
Right.
Especially with crypto, it's new, it's volatile.
And there's potential for, money laundering, things like that.
Yeah, that's a big concern.
It is, and there have been some high-profile cases of fraud and hacking in the crypto world.
True.
It hasn't exactly helped build trust.
But then there's the other side.
Right, the other side argues that banks are being way too broad,
Oh,
like they're discriminating against a whole industry.
Hmm.
And they point out that traditional banks have had their own scandals, right?
Yeah, plenty of them.
But they haven't been shut out in the same way.
Good point.
And get this, the technology behind crypto, the blockchain,
Yeah.
it's actually more transparent than traditional finance. You can track the flow of money in many cases.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
So, are banks truly using debanking as a risk management tool?
Or are they trying to protect their own interests?
It's a tough one. It's not black and white.
No, it's very gray.
Very gray, a tangle of different things.
But one thing's for sure, this debate is going to keep going.
Oh, absolutely. This is just the beginning.
This goes beyond crypto, doesn't it?
It does. It's about the foundations of our financial system.
Access, regulation, finding the balance between supporting new ideas and keeping things stable.
Exactly.
But hold on, there's one more thing.
What's that?
Remember how we were talking about the political side of all this?
Yeah, the whole Operation Choke Point comparison. Right. And the pro-Trump voters who wanted him to tackle debanking.
What about it?
Well, our sources found something pretty interesting.
Oh.
Melania Trump, in her new book.
Okay.
She actually talks about her own experience with debanking.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, apparently her longtime bank closed her account.
Wow.
And they even refused to let her son, Barron, open a new one.
No way.
Yeah, she claims it was all political, a way to target her family.
Because of her husband's views.
Exactly.
That's a huge revelation.
It really is.
It makes you think twice about this whole narrative that banks are just being cautious.
Right. It adds a whole new layer to this whole thing. I mean, if the former First Lady can be targeted by debanking, it really makes you question the whole thing.
It does, doesn't it? It makes you wonder if there's something bigger going on.
Yeah, like it's not just about risk.
Right. Maybe there are other motives at play.
Which is why the House Committee's investigation is so important.
Absolutely. They need to see if there's a pattern here.
Like discrimination based on politics?
Or even just being involved in certain industries.
This could have major implications.
Huge. We're talking about basic fairness in the financial system.
And what about censorship?
Oh, that's a big one.
If banks can just shut people out because they don't like their views,
Or the industry they're in.
where does it end?
That's a slippery slope, a very dangerous one.
It's a scary thought for sure.
It is. We need more transparency in the financial sector.
Way more.
And accountability, too.
So let's bring it back to our listeners for a second.
Okay, good idea.
Why should they care about all this?
Well, at the end of the day, this is about fairness.
Okay.
It's about equal access to financial services.
Right. Everyone deserves a fair shot.
Exactly, regardless of their political beliefs or what they do for a living.
And what about the impact on innovation?
Oh, that's crucial if we keep shutting out new industries like crypto.
We could end up pushing progress elsewhere.
Exactly, and losing out on all the benefits.
And we can't forget about the people affected by this.
Right, the personal cost of debanking,
It can be devastating.
financial hardship, stress, damage to your reputation.
It's a powerful reminder that we need to keep a close eye on things.
And hold our institutions accountable.
We can't just sit back and let this happen.
Absolutely not. We need to demand transparency and fairness.
And make sure that decisions are based on facts, not biases.
Well said.
This has been a wild ride.
We've covered a lot.
Debanking is a complicated issue.
It really is. But before we go,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with something to think about.
Okay, I'm listening.
What if, instead of seeing debanking as a bad thing,
Right.
we saw it as an opportunity
An opportunity for what?
to rethink our whole financial system?
Interesting.
What if it pushed us to find better models?
Models that are more inclusive.
More transparent, more accountable?
That's a great point.
It's a chance to build something better.
A financial system that works for everyone.
Exactly. That's a future worth striving for.
I couldn't agree more. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
It's been a pleasure.
Keep exploring, keep asking questions, and we'll see you next time.